Hello and welcome back to our fifth episode of Prime Q&A, where we answer our subscribers' queries. My name is Gaurav Menon, and we have with us our co-founder, Bhavna Acharya. Hello, Bhavna.
Hi, Gaurav.
So the first question for today is,
Yes.
I have come across various articles and advertisements on balanced advantage funds. Is it wise to invest in them?
Yes, this is the time where you'll be seeing ads for balanced advantage funds. So let's step back a little bit, understand what balanced advantage funds are, right? So a balanced advantage fund, they're also called dynamic asset allocation funds. They fall in the same category. They invest in stocks, they invest in derivatives, stock derivatives, and in debt, right? Now, the allocation between equity, derivative, and debt depends on the fund's strategy. So, the reason funds go for derivatives is because it helps them hedge the equity risk. So, you're taking stocks, and the fund hedges some part of the stock by using derivatives, and then the remaining is in debt. So it's equity, derivative, debt, unhedged equity, hedged equity, and debt. Now, the allocation between each depends on the fund's model, which in turn depends on what the fund takes as cues. Okay. The fund aims at changing the allocations between this derivative, unhedged equity, hedged equity, and debt based on what the markets are doing, right? So if markets are correcting, they will try and limit the falls, or if the markets have are good valuation opportunities, you're going to increase the unhedged equity so that they can make money once the market rises. Okay. But the thing is, what model the fund uses depends on the fund itself, which means that some funds can be more aggressive. They can hedge a lot lesser and leave a lot more of the equity portion unhedged. Others can be more conservative in that they will keep hedging a good amount of their portfolio and leave only a small part of it unhedged. So this, I'll give you an example. So HDFC Balanced Advantage Fund, for example, does no hedging at all. The entire equity is simply unhedged. Aditya Birla is a lot more dynamic. So sometimes it will not hedge at all, sometimes it will hedge a lot. Then you'll have DSP Dynamic, which will tend to keep a good amount of it hedged, right? So each fund does something different. And because each fund does something different, each fund's risk level is different, each fund's return potential is different. Okay. So the thing you need to understand is the more the fund leaves the portion unhedged, that is, the less it uses derivatives, the riskier it's going to be. Which, and because it's riskier, it can fall more. Okay. So before you get into balanced advantage funds, you should know that every single fund is different. So it's not like, say, large cap funds where all of them are moderate risk. Okay. Or arbitrage funds where all of them hedge the entirety of the portfolio. So you have to understand what kind of balanced advantage fund you're getting into and understand its strategy, understand how risky it can be, how much it hedges, what kind of model it uses to hedge. You have to understand all of that before getting into a balanced advantage fund. So it's actually not a very simple product, it's a more complex product. So we actually have an article which you can read on just understanding what balanced advantage funds are. We link it below in the description, but you can read that where we show with data how each fund is different. Okay. Now let's get into why they have suddenly come up. Okay. It's because markets are at a high. You don't want to completely get out of equity, and balanced advantage funds showcase themselves as being the lower risk route to equity because they are hedging and they have got equity and they have got this hedging. So they are the lower risk route to equity. So you're participating in equity but not taking that full equity risk. Okay. So that is why these kind of funds are finding a lot of attention now. But even if you're attracted by that, we do not suggest you completely move into that. Okay. For one thing, when you try and move out of equity because markets are high, you're essentially timing the markets. right? You think markets are expensive, so you want to get out, which is fine. But then how do you know when you want to come back in? So how long are you going to wait to come back in, right? Timing markets is always difficult. Markets can stay high longer than you think they are going to be. You don't know when they are going to bottom. So you will always have this question. Now, suppose the market start correcting, you're going to start wondering, is this the bottom? Like, should I move now from balance advantage to pure equity, right? Can it correct further? So the same questions you're having because the market is high, you're going to have the same questions when the market is low. So in effect, you're going to time the market, okay, which is difficult to do. So if you pull out of equity and the market still rallies, you're losing equity, right? And if you don't come back in time, or if you come back when markets have gone even higher and then from there they fall, then you would have timed it wrong, right? So just by moving into balance advantage does not mean that you're doing something good for your portfolio, right? And the second thing is, how much are you going to shift to balance advantage, right? If you put like 5% of your portfolio, 10% portfolio there, how much is it going to help contain your overall portfolio's downside or upside, correct? So always go back to the basic fundamental concept of asset allocation, right? For your time frame, for your risk level, you have a fixed asset allocation. You see how much it has deviated from that asset allocation, and then take a call on whether you have to get out of equity or get into equity. We have a separate, actually, we have multiple articles. So we have an entire in-depth explanation of why moving into balanced advantage funds now is not a very good idea. We link that also below. We have another article on how to rebalance your portfolio, how to assess when your equity has run up and when you can get out of equity and put it back into debt. Okay, so that is rebalancing your portfolio. So before you try being tempted by all these ads and all these fancy sounding funds like balanced advantage and move into debt and move into equity and all that, go back to your asset allocation, check whether that is correct first, and then try and get into different funds. I'm not saying don't invest in balanced advantage funds at all. They have their uses, but it's not for you to keep timing the market. Okay, they have very specific uses, which will be explained in the article that we would have linked below. So go there and read it. It is useful for certain kind of investors, for certain kind of portfolios, for certain time frames. Okay, they are not for you to keep jumping in and out of equity. So read those articles. They will help you understand how to use these funds better, how to analyze these funds better, so that you pick the fund that is right for you.
All right. So the second question that we have today is, one of the mutual funds in my portfolio has a sell call in your review tool. How do I exit this fund and move on to a better one? Should I use SIP or lump sum?
Okay. So when we give a sell in the review tool, you can decide whether you want to exit it immediately or exit in phases or stagger your exit if you want to make it more tax efficient. Like if you have a SIP running in the fund or you've made multiple investments in the fund and you haven't crossed the 1 year mark or the 3 year mark equity debt, then it's not necessary that you immediately exit. You can exit in phases slowly so that you optimize your taxes. But when it comes to reinvesting that money into another fund, it depends on what type of fund you have exited and what type of fund you are entering. Okay, if you are exiting an equity fund and reinvesting in an equity fund, then you don't need to worry about SIP or lump sum. See, why does this question of SIP or lump sum come is only because of timing risk. What if I invest when the market is at a high and then, if it corrects after that, you're investing at the wrong point. But so if you're already invested in equity, it's simply that amount, instead of holding it in fund A, you're now holding it in fund B. So timing issue doesn't really come in there. So if it is from equity into equity, you can do it as a lump sum. If it is from a debt fund to a debt fund, again, you can do it in lump sum. So basically, if the exit and reinvestment is in the same asset class, you don't need to worry about SIP or lump sum. That question comes only when you are switching between asset classes. So if you are exiting a debt-based fund and entering an equity-based fund, then you need to be careful about timing because you're going from a low risk investment to a higher risk investment where volatility is also going to be higher. In such cases, you don't do a lump sum investment, you stagger that investment. You either do a SIP or you do multiple tranches of investment. But so that is from a debt one to an equity one. The other way around, from an equity one to a debt one, you can again do it in lump sum. There is no timing risk so much. There is no averaging opportunity so much because debt doesn't fall like that. So you can do it in a lump sum or you can do it in an SIP, whichever one you want, it will be fine. We actually have an entire article written on SIP versus lump sum when you're reinvesting money. I suggest you read that where we give you very detailed explanations on why.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, our last question for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few of my mother's fixed deposits are maturing within this year. But now that the interest rates are extremely poor, what is your advice?
Well, we have to be, you can first look at senior citizen savings schemes, which is the higher returning option. You have other options like the Vaya Vandana Yojana. You have the RBI floating rate taxable bonds. So you can explore those options first because they are higher returning instruments. But for the rest of it, the unfortunate situation we are in is that interest rates are low. So we simply have to bear with that. So the remaining amount, don't lock it into long-term deposits, put it in very short-term deposits so that once you're not locking into low rates for the long term, once the interest rate cycle picks up, then you can, that deposit would have matured and you'll be able to get into slightly better returning instruments. So explore those first, senior citizens Vaya Vandana, RBI floating taxable bonds, and then put it in very short-term deposits and just wait for better rates.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. That's all for now, folks. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Also, if you have a question for us, just leave it in the comment section and we'll get back to you on that. Bye for now. See you soon.